How are you, everybody, and welcome to Sports Talk. I am your host, Stephen Atkinson, and on today's show, we're going to talk about Peyton Manning, Brandon Lloyd, and NFL free agency, which starts in less than 2 hours away. But today I'm going to start off with Peyton Manning, and he's visited with the Denver Broncos this past weekend and the Arizona Cardinals. The Dolphins, he just met with them yesterday, and will meet with the Titans later this week. But from the Denver Post this morning, it says, Manning could make snap decision to join Broncos with signing period arriving. And it says, the Broncos are one of the 6 teams that are considered alive in the pursuit of quarterback Peyton Manning. The others are Miami, Arizona, San Francisco, which I don't believe is accurate, Tennessee, and Houston, according to a source. It's possible Manning could make his decision by the opening of free agency at 4 p.m. today. And to help out in perspective what the Broncos are trying to acquire, look at Manning's one-loss record during his past 9 active seasons with the Indianapolis Colts. At 10-6, 12-4, 12-4, 14-2, 12-4, 13-3, 12-4, 14-2, and 10-6. Average 9-year record 12-4. And at least one of those losses each year came at season's end when the highest possible playoff seed was clinched and Manning barely played. So there's a report that Manning could make a decision by 4 p.m. today. And this is just coming from the Denver Post. Now, I've been listening to NFL Network, ESPN, and I haven't heard this report. I've only heard it on denverpost.com, so maybe they just are getting all the hype that they really want Peyton Manning. But my coworker, though, at Benjamin's Restaurant in Taunton, Massachusetts, made a great point about Peyton Manning possibly going to Denver. And he said that the reason why Manning would go to Denver is because Elway would release Tebow if they get Manning, is so people won't judge him because he released a popular quarterback and did not replace him with a franchise QB. So if they get a franchise quarterback like Peyton Manning, people won't be mad at Elway. And I agree with them. So I agree that Tebow, that people won't get upset at John Elway for making a decision to release Tebow, and he'll get Peyton Manning, and people will be like, oh, okay, he's fine. You know, Elway's fine because people won't judge Elway for making a bad choice. And I agree with that. So then I think Tebow would go to Jacksonville, or possibly a backup for Tom Brady, which I think is a long shot, but it could. It could happen because McDaniels did draft him and maybe would want his old quarterback back and learn from one of the best of all time, like Tom Brady. I don't personally think it would happen, but like I said before, he will probably go to Jacksonville. I think Peyton Manning, will probably go to the Arizona Cardinals because he will be playing in a dome, which he is used to with the Colts. And also, he has a primary receiver in Larry Fitzgerald, like Kurt Warner did, and brought that team to the Super Bowl, but lost to the Steelers. Maybe Peyton can do the same thing, but this time win it. We will have to wait and see. When we come back, we're going to talk about Brandon Lloyd and the Patriots, and I will read an interesting article by Greg Bedard of the Boston Globe. That's next on Sports Talk. Welcome back to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Stephen Atkinson. Now we're going to talk about Brandon Lloyd. Last week I told you he talked to Tommy Curran of Comcast Sportsnet and said he really wanted to come to the Patriots. He loved the Patriot way, and he loved Coach Belichick. He loved Josh McDaniels. He put up great numbers when he was with McDaniels in that offense with the Broncos. So if you listen to 98.5 The Sports Hub, you have probably heard about an interesting article that Greg Bedard of the Boston Globe wrote. If you did not, here it is. And it's very interesting because Brandon Lloyd seems very kind of like Albert Hainsworth. I'll explain the article. It says the Patriots, according to league sources, want to improve their receiving crop in a free agency and possibly the draft. There are plenty of options in free agency. Vincent Jackson, Mike Wallace, restricted, Marquise Colston, who just signed a 5-year deal with the New Orleans Saints. That just happened today. Mario Manningham, Reggie Wayne, Pierre Garden, Braylon Edwards, and Robert McLean, and among others. Lloyd will be 31 on July 5th. He has proven to be productive in that system. He had 70 catches for 966 yards and 5 touchdowns last season between the Broncos and Rams when both teams were bad. And he was second team All-Pro with the Broncos and McDaniels in 2010 after catching 77 passes for 1,448 yards and 11 touchdowns. He's extremely talented, said a Broncos source. He has the best body control and hands of any receiver I've ever seen from the standpoint of just making the craziest catch. He does it so much that he makes those crazy catches look normal for him. He's either going to come down with it or knock it away from the defensive back, which is good. But also says Brandon Lloyd has been on 6 teams every other year. I hope I'm saying that right. He's been on 6 teams. That's like he's bipolar. He's been told that one day he's fine, and then the next day he may not be so fine. So if you have a guy in the locker room that can be fine with the media and not voice his opinion and not be negative to the media, but go out as a team, and when the media's not there, trash everybody and call everybody names and basically trash the organization, it's just like Albert Haynesworth. You know, and Albert Haynesworth didn't really talk to the media much. He didn't really voice his opinion on anything, but he was released because he probably opened his mouth in the locker room. And I don't know how that's going to fly with Belichick. So we'll see what happens. I think it's a great option for him to come here. They need Patriots again. Like I said last week, they need another receiver. I'd love for them to get Mike Wallace, but we'll wait and see what happens in about 2 hours, because it's going to be very interesting this offseason. So another article I wanted to talk about today was Mario Williams. And is he a free agent target for the Patriots? This is from Ann Rappaport. And he says that don't be surprised if the most sought free agent on the market, Mario Williams, is on the Pats list. They may not sign the dynamic pass rusher from the Texans, but in belief is they will inquire if Houston doesn't sign him at the last minute, which I personally think is a great move, because they do need another pass rusher. In March of 2010, the Bears made a splash by signing Julius Peppers, in which the Patriots were interested in Julius Peppers. And then the Bears took him from the Panthers. Whether they do it more with the 6 foot, 283-pound former number 1 overall pick, who has 53.5 career sacks, will depend on what Williams' value on the market turns out to be. With roughly $18 million to spend before they reach the salary cap threshold, the Patriots figured to be buyers to help a defense that was among the league's worst in 2011. It may not happen today, as overpaying often results from deals struck at the starting blocks, but they will be looking they will be looking at target ex-Rams receiver Brandon Lloyd quickly, as we just talked about. And the expectation is that the Pats will allow reserve linebacker Gary Guyton to walk into free agency, while likely extending an exclusive rights tender to defensive tackle Kyle Love. The hope is that he ends up with a 2-year and mutually beneficial deal. Now, they also need a running back. BenJarvus Green-Ellis is a free agent. I hope they can re-sign BenJarvus Green-Ellis, because he has 0 fumbles in his career. And at 4 o'clock, teams are going to be knocking on his door, asking him, do you want to come play for me? Do you want to come play for me? And he's going to probably take the best offer, because the Patriots haven't offered him anything yet. I hope the Patriots get him. because I know they still have Danny Woodhead, but I also think Ben Jarvis Green Ellis is a great running back. So I'll hope that he will come back to the Patriots. We're going to switch gears back to Tebow. A lot of people probably think that Tebow wouldn't fit in New England. Like I said earlier, I don't think Tebow should come to the Patriots because all the media and the attention that will go around Tebow, and he'll probably, it might be a distraction. He was with McDaniels, but he's not an elite quarterback. And I think if he goes to Jacksonville, a team that's kind of, I don't want to say rebuilding, but they're kind of not really going anywhere, I think that's a good place for him to start. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about, we're going to switch to the Boston Red Sox, see what they're doing, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Welcome back to Sports Talk. Again, I'm your host, Stephen Atkinson. And today, right now, we're going to talk about the Boston Red Sox. And who do I think is going to have a good season? They're going to have, their ups and downs this year. Their fifth starter, I think, Andrew Bailey pitched yesterday, and he gave up a few hits, gave up a few runs. he didn't pitch that well, but it's only March, so I think he'll pick up when when spring training goes into like later March and when the season starts. So I think he'll be good. Again, like I said last week, Bobby Valentine is going to put that team together, and they're going to come through. I can feel it. You know, with the way they're playing in spring training, I've only seen like a few games, but they are really starting to come through. And I think that probably by August, September, hopefully, they'll be playoff contenders and they'll make the playoffs. And they'll go far in the playoffs. So now I'm going to jump to March Madness. I don't really know kind of much about March Madness, but I'm going to make my prediction on who's going to win the NCAA tournament. And my prediction's probably going to be, I'm going to say North Carolina again, because I usually pick them a lot. I'm going to pick them again this year. So I'm going to pick North Carolina to win the NCAA tournament. Oh, and I want to talk about right now the Rob Gronkowski, the Madden cover. I do not want Rob Gronkowski on the Madden cover. I know I saw the 1-minute YouTube video he posted, you know, getting fans to vote for him on the Madden cover. I don't want him there because every single time a player goes on that cover of Madden, they either have a bad season or they get hurt. So, for example, I remember back maybe 10 years ago, it was Michael Vick was on it, he got hurt. McNabb was on it, he got hurt. Peyton Hillis was on it last year, he got hurt. Larry Fitzgerald and Troy Polamalu were on it 2 years ago. They both got hurt. Donovan McNabb was on it. He got hurt. And Gronkowski, if he goes on it, he'll have more than a broken ankle, I think. And, you know, I heard that Tebow was kind of in the running for it. And if he gets it, good for him. You know, and I hope it doesn't. I believe in the Madden curse. A lot of people don't, but I do. So, you know, they put great players on that cover of Madden, and it just destroys their career. For some reason, you know, I don't know why it does that. But it does. So, back to the Patriots. This offseason is going to be very interesting for them. And I think they'll pick up maybe Mike Wallace, maybe Vincent Jackson would be a good fit. Because they need another, again, like I said last week, they need another deep threat. And they need somebody to go to other than, if they don't get anybody, you're looking at Deion Branch, Ocho Cinco, and Taekwon Underwood. That's nobody. Well, I'm not saying Taekwon Underwood's nobody, or Ocho, but he's not really that well right now for some reason. Hopefully, in the off season, he can, you know, look at the Patriots playbook and figure out the Patriots playbook. So when training camp starts, he's not saying, "Oh no, I don't know any of these. I don't know any of this." Hopefully, it took him one season to prepare, and he'll have a Hall of Fame season maybe next year. I'm probably wishful thinking, but I hope he does. I hope he does. And I also think that if they get Brandon Lloyd, you're looking at another deep threat. And you could have Brandon Lloyd, Ocho on the other side, and then Deion Branch in the middle, and you could have a team. And then you can have Gronkowski and Hernandez. So it's going to be an interesting season for this team, interesting football season. And I'm excited, and I cannot wait, and I know a lot of you can't wait for the NFL free agency to start in about an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm going to basically go over everything that I talked about today, starting from the first thing I talked about, starting with Peyton Manning. Where is he going to go? Where is he going to end up? And I believe that he's going to end up with the Arizona Cardinals, again, because I think it's a dome, and he's been in a dome with the Colts. He has a prime receiver in Larry Fitzgerald, and he can also bring Reggie Wayne with him if he wants, or Dallas Clark. It's a thought. So they could have two receivers, Fitzgerald and Wayne, and then a tight end in Dallas Clark, and he'd be good. And I also think about Brandon Lloyd is if he wants to come to the Patriots, he's got to step up. He's got to step up, and he can't be trash talking the Patriots in the locker room. He's got to do it in a way that's appropriate and a positive way. So now it's the fastest 2 minutes. It's when I cover everything I talked about in 2 minutes. And I think the Patriots need a pass rusher also. And I think Mario Williams is a perfect fit. I think Mario Williams will bring a lot of good things to the Patriots, because they really do need another pass rusher. So I hope, and I'm hoping, that the Patriots do something good in this free agency. And that's going to do it for me from Sports Talk. Next week we will see where all of the big names in the NFL ended up. Have a great week.